Welcome back to Common Knowledge, a show where I take a look at Magic the Gathering commons and tell you, are they good in the Pauper format or are they bad in the Pauper format? Most of them bad. But like any format, there's so many cards that are useless and then, the cream of the crop. So we'll see if maybe we can find some of the cream of the crop today. And our first card is Spidery Grasp. For 2 and a green, it's an instant that says untap target creature. It gets +2/+4 and gains reach until end of turn. So we looked, the end of our last episode, we looked at a card that was a 3-mana instant that destroyed a target flying creature and gained 2 life. Who cares? This is pretty similar in a lot of ways. It doesn't destroy the flying creature, but giving one of your creatures +2/+4 and reach will most of the time have the same effect. Although you could use this as a combat trick outside of trying to kill a creature. You could use this offensively to work as like a pseudo vigilance and also bang in for a little extra damage. You can use this as a combat trick offensively to take out an opponent or take out a creature or live through an attack. +4 on the defense is pretty good. But ultimately, you still are kind of just paying for another Broken Wing style effect. And that's not good. That's just not good. And it's also a little costly. And when I say a little, I mean a lot costly. This is a format that can play Giant Growth. It doesn't. The format doesn't even really play Giant Growth. But you can. You can play Giant Growth. 1 mana +3/+3. That's better. That's better in so many ways than this card. And cheaper too. Let's give this like a 1.5 and just keep going. What do we have next? Something better than that? Hopefully. Here we go. It is Noggle Bandit for 1 and hybrid. Is it? You get a 2/2 Noggle Rogue. And this creature can't be blocked except by creatures with Defender. Interesting. A little Eventide card here. 3 mana's a little pricey, but you're not really going to go up against a whole lot of creatures with Defender. There are a couple of Walls decks in Pauper, but for the most part, this is a 3 mana unblockable 2/2. Could be worse. I mean, this is in a lot of ways. This is a Phantom Warrior. 3 mana, 2/2, can't be blocked. But now red can play it. Not just for blue anymore. Red can play it. It's not nothing. I don't know. I don't know if there's a deck that really needs an unblockable 2/2. But if there is, this guy's something to consider. Noggle Rogue are not necessarily the best creature types. Rogue is okay. Noggle not so much. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. Let's give it something like a 2.9. I don't really know what you do with it, but unblockable creatures are not the easiest to come by. And this guy is. In interesting colors, too. Having something that doesn't have to be blue to get it. I think that is interesting. Okay, what do we got next? Enigma Eidolon is 3 and a blue for a 2/2 spirit. You can pay 1 and sacrifice this creature and have target player mill 3 cards. Great art. I do like the art. I like Dissension. I don't really like this card. 4 mana for a Grizzly Bear. And then you have to pay another blue and sack the creature to make somebody mill 3 cards. I guess I didn't read the rest of the card. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, you may return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Great. So I have to pay another 5 mana to mill you another 3 cards. I don't know. The only thing I can think of that's potentially interesting here is in the same way that you can use things like Eldrazi spawns, the 0/1s that can sack themselves for a colorless mana, the same way that you can use those guys or mono black sacrifice decks, or even like a Sakura Tribe Elder. So in the same ways that you can use those guys to block a creature, like maybe, say there's like a creature with lifelink that is attacking you. You block, and then you sacrifice it, and then because no damage was dealt and the creature was blocked, it doesn't go to your face, but no damage was dealt, the lifelink doesn't work because it didn't damage, so it can't gain the life that it damaged. This is a way of doing that in a loopy format. You can loop that. It just costs a lot of mana to do that. And that's a pretty narrow use case. It happens. It happens. Like, go up against a Bogle's deck. It'll happen. But yeah. And like I just rattled off like a few different options that do that too. And you play your Malevolent Rumble and you get one of those spawns. You play Nest Invader, you get one of those spawns. You could play Sakura Tribe Elder if you wanted to. People don't really, but you could. And those are all just better options than this. This is just too expensive. Too expensive, not very good. I'll give it a 1.8. What else do we got? Argothian Treefolk is 3 and double green for a 3/5 Treefolk. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to this creature by artifact sources. Kind of interesting. Does what deck plays this? What green deck is like, okay, I gotta here's the way I stop artifacts. Argothian Treefolk. I just don't think you do that. Maybe the Pixies. Argothian Pixies, right? Argothian Pixies. That's cheaper and can't be blocked by artifact creatures, parental damage. That's better. And this is one of the few fairies that cannot fly, and also isn't green and not blue. Lots of fun things there. But yeah, 5 mana for a 3/5, and it's really just like a sideboard piece to stop artifact decks specifically. And artifacts are popular in Pauper, but are they? How many times are you swinging in with giant artifact creatures? It happens, but I wouldn't say it's common. Pauper, common. Yeah, I think this is just a little too narrow. A little too narrow of a use case to really make a difference. It makes more sense in Antiquities. There's a lot of artifacts in Antiquities. It's a set about artifacts. But not for the greater Pauper format. Let's give it a 1.4 and keep on going. To Giant Tortoise, 1 and a blue for a 1/1 turtle. This creature gets +0/+3 as long as it's untapped. Originally from Arabian Nights. How about that? Cool old art you can get for $5 if you want the Arabian Nights one, but you could just pay 6 cents, get the 4th edition one, or you can pay 6 cents and get this newer Eternal Masters one. I don't think you should buy any of them. These aren't very good. A 2 mana 1/4. Okay. But a 2 mana 1/4 that as soon as you attack with it, it becomes a 1/1. Not really. It encourages you to block with it. And that just is not. It's not that viable. I guess you give this vigilance at some point, but then you're just wasting a lot of resources to make a bad card into a mediocre card instead of making a good card into a great card. You should do that instead. and to do that, you should not play this. So let's just give this a 1.3, slightly worse than that last card, and keep on moving. No, it's better than that. 1.5, I guess. I would play that over the tree. but I wouldn't play either of them. Shamble back is a single black mana for a sorcery. Exile target card from a graveyard. Create a 2/2 black zombie creature token, and you gain 2 life. You know what? This is a lot of cool things. These are all not terrible things. Graveyard hate for a single mana. Making a creature. Making a 2/2 for a single mana. That's good rate. Gaining 2 life. Sure. All just like nice little gravy stuff. The bad thing is it's sorcery speed. And sorcery speed is, not great, especially for your graveyard hate. I think you want most of your graveyard hate to be pretty instantaneous. The only one that you will accept is Bajuka Bog, but that's because it's a land. You're getting it for free. The opportunity cost is so low. But all your other graveyard hate generally wants to be instant speed. And that's probably the real killer of a card like this. Because the rest of it's fine. It's target creature card from any graveyard. Could be yours. You'd find ways of self-mill to get this. But generally, you're going to want to take it from your opponents if you can. I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. I think if it said exile target card from a graveyard, and then if that card was a creature card, you get the zombie. Maybe that would be better. But really, we're splitting hairs here when this is sorcery speed. And the sorcery speed's what kills it. But other than that, I think it's kind of a cool card. I'm still going to give it like a 3. Just for all the stuff it does. That's nice. It's just a nice selection of things on a single card. For a single mana, too. Really makes you think about how much value you can get out of a single mana. Or how much value you can't get out of a single mana. Savian, we're going to say. Elves is a single green mana for a 1/1 elf. You can pay green, tap this creature to destroy target aura attached to a land. That is so specific. Now, we do see some auras that are put on lands. You have your Wild Growth, your Utopia Sprawls. There are a couple other ones, but those are the main two. Do those... like those cards are not really worth blowing up. It's certainly not worth spending 3 mana over 2 turns for a 1/1 that will also continue to tap itself down. Like this is such a mana investment for such little gain. This is a bad card. This is a 1. It's a bad card. I don't like it. I don't want to look at it anymore. It's probably better than a 1, but not by much and not worth talking about. Kytheon. Kytheon? I think it's Kytheon. Kytheon's tactics is 1 white for a sorcery. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Also has spell mastery. If there are 2 or more instant and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, those creatures also gain vigilance until end of turn. All right. Them gaining vigilance is probably the reason this is not instant speed. Because you never want your new players to attack in, and then you give the creatures vigilance, and they go, "Well, don't they untap?" And like, no, that's you, if they're already tapped in. So you avoid that by just making it sorcery speed. It's not something that's going to happen like that. The problem is it also makes this card pretty unusable. If this was a combat trick that gave all your creatures +2/+1, maybe maybe this could be interesting. I would even accept it if it had spell mastery, that if you had 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, you now could cast this at flash speed. That could be cool. I would like that card more. I probably still wouldn't love it, but I would like that card more than this. This is, fine. Yeah, I think it's just fine. It's nothing really to write home about. It's just, a turn of Anthem effect. And we've seen those, and they're okay. White Weenie doesn't even play this, right? Like, White Weenie just has other things that it plays instead. You play Chocomog. Chocomog does a better job than this. So, yeah, I'd say it's nothing nothing really all that important to consider. I'll give it a, let's give it like a 2.7. Keep on going. We got a couple cards left. And we'll see what our next one is. Depth Charge Colossus is 9 whole mana for an artifact creature, Dreadnought. And like I said, it's a, or I didn't say, it's a 9/9. It's a 9/9 for 9. Wow. It's also got Prototype for 4 and double blue. And if you pay it for its prototype cost, if you may cast the spell with different mana cost, color, and size, it keeps its types and abilities. So you can pay 4 blue to make this a 6/6, and if you do, it's a blue creature. If you pay just the 9 generic, it's still a colorless creature. That matters a little bit. It matters, I guess, for like a red elemental blast. If somebody wants to red blast this thing, they can if you try to prototype it, but not it the other way. Anyway, this creature doesn't untap during your untap step, and it costs 3 to untap this creature. Not very good. Right? These giant creatures are fine, but when it costs so much to get this thing on the table to begin with, then you got to keep paying the mana to bring this in. Obviously, you have the mana if you were able to pay for the 9/9 to begin with, but I don't love it. And then a lot of these prototype cards will give you a much cheaper creature, like something that's within the realm of playability in the first handful of turns, and then you have the big thing on the other end that if a game goes really long, now you can play the big one. And this one is already a late game card for 6, and then it gets even later in the game for 9. Yeah, this one's bad. I think these prototype creatures are pretty interesting, especially when you can do silly things like blink them. Blinking them is awesome. But this doesn't really work as well for that because you already had to have 6 mana to bring it in the first place. And at that point, like a 6/6 versus a 9/9, I mean, there's a difference, obviously, but how big of a difference? It's a little silly. Yeah, I'd say this is pretty bad. I'm going to give this a 2. I think 2 is high. I think 2 is high for that, but Harmonious Emergence is our final card of the day. It's 3 and a green for an enchantment aura that enchants a land you control. Don't tell the Savian elves. They'll kill this thing dead. Enchanted land is a 4/5 green spirit creature with vigilance and haste, and it's still a land. If enchanted land would be destroyed, instead sacrifice this aura, and that land gains indestructible until end of turn. Okay, hear me out on this, because I've been playing around with some of these ideas, and I think it was actually on this episode, or on this show, much earlier episode, maybe we had Crackling Emergence. I think these are really interesting with the artifact lands, with the indestructible artifact lands, the bridges. Now you have a 4/5 indestructible creature with vigilance and haste. That's pretty good. Just even a 4 mana 4/5 is pretty good. With vigilance too, so being the land, it can still tap for mana even after you attack with it, or block because it's still a 4/5. But imagine a 4/5 when you have indestructible lands to begin with. You put it on an indestructible land. Okay, now we're talking. I think this is pretty cool. And we have ways, I think we're reevaluating it now that we have a lot of earthbending in the format with the Avatar set, but I think these are still pretty good. And we have a couple of different ones. We've got this one and Crackling Emergence, like I said, so red and green have some options. I think if you wanted to play these in maybe like a Jund Wildfire deck, I could see that kind of working, or like a tweaked Jund Wildfire. I have Jund Wildfire, and I think that deck has more or less been tuned. That deck list, not mine specifically, but the idea of Jund Wildfire specific or generally, is that deck. I wouldn't say is solved exactly, but it is. It definitely has like these are the cards you should play in it. And there's a couple of you can put your own flavor in a couple of cards, but what you're playing in Jund Wildfire. I like this though. I just think the idea of a 4/5 indestructible with vigilance, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know. I think these are okay. I'm going to give this a I'm going to give this a 5.2, which is saying, it's playable in Pauper. Not quite, but I mean, it's right there on that fringe. But I would like to see more people try it. 4 mana is a lot. Even for the pretty big body that you get out of it, 4 mana is a lot. I think Crackling Emergence is probably the better one of these. It's a little cheaper. But yeah, still interesting. Let's do one more bonus card, then call it after that. Graph Rats is 1 and a black for a 2/1 rat. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you both own and control this creature and a creature named Midnight Scavengers, exile them and they meld into Chittering Host. Isn't it cool? Isn't it cool that you can have a meld card even in Pauper? Because Midnight Scavengers also common. Midnight Scavengers, I guess you have to know both of these before you can really consider what they are on their own. Midnight Scavengers is 4 and a black for a 3/3 human rogue. When this creature enters, you may return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to your hand. So you might be able to grab the Graph Rats with this. Okay, so Graph Rats cost 2. This costs 5. Something to consider. But if you have them both, they meld into Chittering Host. What is Chittering Host? Oh, God. Well, that's the top half of it. Chittering Host. Here you go. Chittering Host is a 5/6 Eldrazi horror with haste and menace. And when this creature enters, other creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain menace until end of turn. I have not seen anybody try to play a Chittering Host deck. And I bet it'd be fun. I bet it would be fun. Getting to meld something in Pauper, no less. It sounds like a good time. I'm not going to do it. It's not going to be me. Somebody else out there has already done it. I assure you, you can go find somebody else's list if you want to have this kind of fun. But the idea that you can play these cards that are, half, like 2 halves of a card, and just play a big card. It's so cool to have just big card on the board. That's awesome. That's awesome. You know what? I am going to pick up copies of both of these just to have them. just to have them. I think that's fun. I'll write them down later. But anyway, that's all for today. What a silly bonus card to do. It technically was 2 bonus cards. 3 if you count the backside. We'll see you next time. Bye.